Specialist Corson, start record, article intake file, number 8504, object. It's a car. You sent me a car. Let me see. It says teardrop coupe. Come on, you know this isn't... All right, description. 2 doors, 4 seats. It's round. Like it has really nice curves. It is a great kind of powder blue, silver trim, cream interior. That's what it's called, right? Interior. There's the stick in the middle, 3 pedals. So I'm gonna say it's a manual. A big trunk. There's a spare tire in here. Condition. I don't see any scratches or anything. Let me pop the hood and look at the engine. Yeah. That's an engine, all right. Look, you know I don't have the diagnostics for something like this. You're gonna get what you're gonna get unless you want to shell out for an expert. All right, the tires. They look a little rough, actually. You know what? Now that I'm down here, there's some dirt and muck on the rear carriage, the undercarriage. Is that what it's? Wait, there's blood on this fucking thing, Momona. You're supposed to check for shit like this before you send it my way. You know my policy on unclassified blood. I am doubling my invoice for this one. Deal with it. Price. Blue Book says $7,000, but with the wear and tear on this one, no way. $5,400, maybe. Comments and analysis. Fire in hell. What do you want me to say? It is a car. I think it probably hit someone or drove through a crime scene, or maybe it is a crime scene. I'm not saying it's a waste of my time, but you know my specialty. Crosstown ephemera, pencils, glassware, home movies, those little canvas grocery bags. That's my specialty. Crosstown ephemera. Are cars ephemera? Like, maybe from a real bird's eye view, I guess. Maybe, and do not tell me to take my aerial form, okay? Fuck you. Next time, bring me a license plate. Bring me a detachable faceplate from a stereo receiver. One of those little cigarette lighter things. Perfect. I can tell you who used that. I can tell you where they were going. I can tell you what brand they smoke. But a whole car? Fuck, you know the story. I am the knower of things hidden. Secret and divine both. Not the knower of parking lot subsection 4C. And before you say anything, no, it is a nice car. But it is not divine. It has been a long week and things have been weird, so sorry for snapping, but please, next time, bring something like this to Bathan, maybe to Lee. Those folks, they know their chariots.
Heard here.
Heard. Status report.
Which part?
The most recent. The thicket.
There's a hostile agent here, and now there isn't.
Very good. Have the others made moves on Squire?
Others with
Yours?
Me? Yes. Well, maybe. They're cagey.
Watch them closely and move with similar confidence if the time comes. We are considering you for great things, Herd.
I heard that before.
If you need anything, let me know.
Hang up.
All right. I'm just going to put her name here on the map, just so that we know she called. And that is from the static going up. All right.
Can I have a pull aside with Florence while that conversation is happening?
Also, really quick before we do the pull aside, did you communicate the body being pulled away stuff and all the other shit? I mean, I guess I was going to ask that to Maggie, to Agent Seals, but I guess you've also seen the photo of the murder now, so you all have it. You all have what happened. Okay, I just want to make sure that was all. But you do also know that the car was stolen from here, so that's something extra. All right, go ahead, pull aside Florence and Chris.
Real quick, is the car in that photo, or is it just the weird?
Yeah, I think no, that photo. let's say that photo was taken from one of the, like, the second or third floor of one of these nearby houses being built. And so, yeah, we get, like, the corner picture, the corner of the photo. It's, like, looking down, angled. And the corner of the photo is the tire and the rear end of the teardrop coupe. So it's definitely that car. And you see that Blake Blossom is, like, crawling towards it. And then it's just this collection of hands coming from off screen and arms reaching for him. Or from off frame, basically.
We so that means that Sleeves was, like, here watching the murder as it happened.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%. Yes. Go ahead, pull aside, Florence and Chris.
Yeah, I think it's really quick. I think it's just like them pretending to help with the body, but then when it's clear that like Seals has it, I guess I don't know. Just being like, you need to give me a sign if you need my help.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. I had it under control. I had it under control right up until I killed him.
I don't mean the photographer.
Ryder, we have to consider the possibility. We have to consider the possibility that we might not be able to trust Herd's authority in quite the same way, indefinitely.
We can investigate two things at once. Okay?
Okay. And I think Florence just like turns back around to the group as though she's going to say something, but instead just stands there with her arms folded. It's just like, I've transitioned from conversation A to conversation B.
God. Great. Good. How's conversation B? Any questions about the scene still? You have time to continue to look at stuff and etc.
I was going to look for witnesses, but we found one, and
And then you killed him.
yeah, well, you know.
A classic witness move. Could I look, now that I know that we're dealing with the curator, which is presumably an entity, I mean, it's in our dossier, so it's an entity we presumably know exists.
Yeah, it is hostile personality number 44, right? So that's
It's
enough
this
to be
sort
like, okay, there are weird things out here. Yeah.
Have we read, by the way, the dossier?
You all have the dossier, 100%, yes.
Okay. No, I mean, like,
Oh.
have we read it since it became, like, a thing this episode, like, out loud?
I just read the hostile personality thing, yeah. When I explained
okay.
what the curator was, I read it. Yes,
Got it.
yes.
Could I
Here's what I see if I want to give you a little bit more about it, like, because the dossier presumably has additional information about this stuff, right? Here's what I'll add, because the dossier wouldn't just be this one excerpt; it would probably be an entire breakdown on this thing, right? So it's not just the fact that the curator. So there is Bluff City, there is Blue City, and there's also like Hell, and Hell is a code word, or is like or it's a real place.
Oh, you're talking about the home for eternal losers.
The home for Hiffle, yeah, the demon Belial was in a game for us previously, briefly. Mr. Lee LB, and he is a middleman and a deal broker and a black marketeer. He's not part of the concern. He's not part of Bluff City or Blue City. He's some weird place in between. You know, maybe Hell is the road between the two, depending on which way you go. It is not a third place in that sense, right? But I do kind of like it as like a collection of rest stops and roadside attractions and the world's tallest fork, all that stuff is Hell. And I'm not just saying that because of life experiences, but it kind of is. And Mr. Lee LB is the people who operate in that space are people who collect things, who collect who can give you stuff if you didn't want to go through the concern specifically, or maybe say on the record, you could, or, have to file a form. Mr. Lee LB could give you something if you gave him what he looks for. And the thing he looks for is often dreams and ideas and wistful thoughts, and the curator is in that business. The curator is not a known associate of Mr. Lee L.B., but is like they move in similar circles. Mr. Lee L.B. is all about deals. The curator takes stuff. And so to some degree, it's like, okay, yeah, the curator would love to, interfere with someone like Blake Blossom, who is this filmmaker. There's probably a lot there. But even the curator still, they're called the curator. There is a degree of what they do is business, or it is like there's a degree to which it is more professional than just a random killing in the middle of the dark out in the thicket. The curator isn't a wolf. The curator is the curator. And so at some point the curator had to learn where Blake Blossom was. The curator had to decide to come out here and do this. And so it's this like weird middle ground between this thing is clearly monstrous, but also is not just a force of nature or something,
Right.
So why did the curator come here? Who put the curator onto this, etc., are questions you could ask.
But I don't think I'm going to.
Okay.
I mean, questions we could ask who?
The world, right? You can
Right.
begin to investigate.
I think I'm going to meditate.
Oh, okay.
I think that this is like not even close to what meditation looks like even within Bluff City. I think we see Florence turn with her arms folded back towards Ryder and Seals, and then just like close her eyes, just standing there, just like take a very long shaky breath.
Yeah.
With her arms folded and her eyes closed. So I
All right.
remove 1 point of commendation,
Uh-huh.
and I
And
roll
then-
1d6.
Yes, you do. And the
Austin,
third thing happens too. What's up?
Sounds like, oh, nope. I've gone
up?
down this road.
Did you roll it?
No, not yet.
Are you gonna?
What's wrong?
If I roll this, static will go up.
That's true.
What?
You're using a technique. That's fine. You're only at 8 static.
I'm
Yeah,
just
we're only
standing
halfway.
with my.
We're only about halfway to disaster.
I'm just standing with my eyes shut.
Uh-huh. You're using a technique.
I do this all the time, Austin. IRL.
You're using a technique. If you were using a technique in Bluff City, it wouldn't be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But you're using it in Blue City.
Sure, I'll roll this. I mean, the other thing is like rising action,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
God, raising static though for a maximum of 6.
If it's one extra roll inside a peak, though, that's not bad.
Is it? I don't
wait,
think
it
it
could be.
is.
It could be.
I'll go up by 1 static, right? Not by the amount that I roll.
No. One static.
Sure. Okay.
Is there a way to lower static?
Yeah, you need a
Just this.
senior agent. You need a senior agent who can spend commendation points to lower static.
Do we
But
have a
it's
me.
senior agent?
Yeah,
you
it's
don't
me.
have that ability.
I don't have that ability, but I am a senior agent.
You're like an acting senior agent in this
Can you
capacity.
get a senior agent? Can you get that ability?
You can roll access maybe to get
You
a
could roll
senior agent?
access. You could call Agent Ward back up, maybe. Knowing that a failure would again be rough here. Let me talk about what happens with Static 9, and maybe you don't want to do this. Or rather, maybe you don't feel like you need to, which is another car pulls up. Another car is coming this way.
Great.
What
calmer
kind of
now,
car? Huh?
I'm calmer though.
You are calmer by 4, totally. So your stress is now only 114. So yeah, you could. There's a chance you'll sneak in a whole second roll here. What type of car does Mike Truck have?
Mike Truck is a Mike Truck has a truck.
Yeah, okay. It's like a pickup truck, like a
Yeah, it's
1950s, like a big.
It's like a farm pickup truck, like
Okay.
where the instead of like a normal 4x4, like the car extends back into a bed that looks like the car, but it's the rail, like it's got gates. You know what I mean? Like the wooden rails.
Yes, I got you.
I'm talking about?
Yeah. So Mike Truck shows up, just pull it up in this car. It is like a like rusty orange color.
Mm-hmm.
and he's pulling in to a different driveway just down the block by like 2 or 3 houses. And there's a house that's in a little bit better state in terms of being built. And there's like wooden boards in the back. He has some paint, and he is like he like begins to unload that stuff, and then he looks over and sees you, and he waves at you, and he's like, "Heard."
No, that's not.
Sorry, that's right. He doesn't know. What's he know you as? He knows you as
Robert Twig.
Twig. And he like starting to walk over to y'all.
Hi, I walk over to Truck.
What are the rest of you doing?
Are you walking like you're walking to meet him in
Right.
the middle, right?
I'm walking
He
to
doesn't come over.
intercept.
Yeah.
Okay.
You move into the neighborhood?
No, we came out here. Well, we all have pretty positive feelings about the wetlands and kind of wanted to take a peek around before this particular patch turns into houses, which is...
Oh, they're beautiful. That's why I'm moving out here. Got to see the wetland.
Gotta see the wetland, yeah.
This is all gonna not be wetland by the time his house is done.
Yeah.
Love it.
Love it.
What are you all up to? What are you just like, taking in the nature? Taking in the
nature,
good day.
damp air. We
There's
have
not enough
very
of it.
positive feelings about wetlands and damp air. And so we wanted to get some.
As you say that, he just like looks up at the snow very slowly, and then like eats one of the snowflakes as it falls. Just does that, and then he looks back at you and he goes, "Yeah, I love it. We going to the parade?"
My friends have all gotten a headache. And so that's why we decided to come out here today to experience the damp air.
Do you want to come in? I have some headache medicine.
Friends, would you like to have some headache medicine for your headache? My friend Mr. Truck has some headache medicine.
No, I'm okay, thanks. Thank you for offering that. Florence is just like glancing at the body.
Which is in the... Where is it? Florence, you were getting rid of it? Or Maggie was
Chris,
getting rid of
right?
it? Was Chris getting...
I thought it
Who's
was
getting
Chris
rid of it?
and thought it was Ryder and Paige together were getting rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, but as the question is asked, Chris is lighting another cigarette.
Okay, good.
Like, just close the car door as like the heads turn towards
Great.
the party, the body successfully concealed.
The tobacco clears up the sinuses. Pressure in the sinuses can cause a headache.
Cigarettes are the best medicine, I say. Maggie, what are you up to?
Smoking.
Also
Conveniently.
smoking.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, you all have headaches. I get you. All right, well, I'll be around. Whenever you need me, just let me know.
You got it, Mike
I'll
Truck.
be right behind you.
Okay.
All right, have a good day. And just turns around. He doesn't explain what that means. And heads into his house. And you can see him. He opens that door. This isn't where he's permanently living yet because of it not being a finished house. But it's like a 2 or 3 floor. It's a 2-floor home. And there is like the second floor has been built to a certain point. It's like an unfinished house. You can see into where the second floor will be because there's no walls up there yet. But when he opens the door, he reveals there's just a living room that he has furnished inside of there.
I have been there, buddy.
And he closes the door. And that is your 9 static.
Agents do not trust Mr. Mike Truck.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, are you telling us to not trust him or asking if we trust him?
I guess telling you not to. I mean, do you trust him?
He's just some guy.
A lot of people in this city are just some guy.
And I don't trust any of them, so...
There we go. Problem solved. Where to now, gang? Ryder, are we gonna meet Achilles?
Oh, I should go see him. I
Just
that's
you?
someone.
I think you should take Seals.
Yeah, I just think if it's the 4 of us, he would get spooked. That's all.
Yeah.
And I think on the way back, I can try to make sense of these photos, at least a timeline or something.
What other leads can we hit?
Anything in
You
the
hit a
dossier,
lead?
right? You hit a lead. You hit a lead.
Yeah, I'm flipping through the dossier here.
And also things that are on the board, right? Like
Yeah.
the Citywide Film Festival is still tonight. We haven't actually spoken to Gail Green. You know where the Teardrop
Yeah.
Coupe is. You have the keys to it, right? I mean, obviously you're going to Achilles Apollo, so I'm guessing Ryder, you're going to hold on to those. You know that Finnegan Hands is connected in some weird way and maybe has some insight. You know the Cultural Trust is connected to this somehow. And you know the curator is killed Blake Blossom. So those are the things that you could and we can be very open ended when you're like thinking about ways to start to piece this stuff together. Because so much of it is again kind of procedural in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look into the Cultural Trust.
Okay.
I was also thinking about the Cultural Trust.
All right, so that sounds like two pairs.
Perfect.
That's
Paige, you're
perfect.
with me.
All right. There's one car. So is this a situation where someone gets dropped off?
Oh, we can wait for the.
Oh,
lady,
right. Yeah,
The
you can
90
wait for the car to
minutes,
come
yeah.
back. So who's taking the car?
I guess the furthest away one.
The
I would
highways
prefer to go
mean-
back in the hired car. Thank you.
Okay. So then hired car team is going to go to the bar across from the south side garage. And that is Ryder and Seals. That is Chris and Maggie. And then Paige and Hurd are going to go to the... Are you just going to the Cultural Trust? Like the building?
You know, do they have like a sort of adjunct office where it's like not the main one, a place that has access to their information but not like the big building?
Yes and no, right? Because like we're pre-internet, right? So like there's no like shared computer database. There will be some information that is only available at the Cultural Trust. What I bet is what exists is like smaller satellite offices for things like it would either be divided by I don't think it's divided by space because space is so weird in this place. So I bet it's divided by like subsection. So maybe this is useful for you, but like there's the Cultural Trust architecture building, there's the Cultural Trust journalism office, there's the Cultural Trust film office, right? So like
Right.
there you
Film
go.
office sounds right.
Yeah. So from you as someone who's driving now, whichever one of you is driving, I'm gonna need an access roll to find that place.
It would be me driving.
Okay, well then give me your 2 access plus 1 to the roll because you're driving this guy's stolen car.
Oh, access. I have 3 access.
Or you have 3 access. You have 3 access.
I do.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So, or I
that's
guess
what-
again, you're in the zone. You can roll whatever the fuck you want here.
Right. Good point. But I'm also still further away from out of it than Florence is.
Yes.
Slash roll. I'm gonna go 4d6.
46.
Boy, I hate this. In a good way. Good
Yeah,
hate.
it's a good stress around this. I like it a lot.
16.
16, so raise up from 112 to 128.
Yeah.
You're still inside of it for now.
I've got a minute in there too.
Yeah, you do. You have a nice range here. So yeah, you're able to at 16. You're able to find it and like park nearby, but not in a way where you're. So I think we just get the shots of y'all driving away, and then also the shots of you like parking in, maybe in another parking lot somewhere that's like back in the corner where the car won't get spotted. Can I just get a final confirmation on what happened to this dude's body before we continue?
I don't know. Is there an undrained river? I mean, pond?
There is an
gotta
undrained
be
pond.
an
But are you
undrained
just
pond.
leaving him in the pond?
Yeah,
Someone
I mean,
dig him a-
someone.
That seems like such a stupid idea. Like, it's a corpse in a residential area?
That's
Isn't it
clearly
gonna
also a
cause
concern
some-
member.
Yeah, isn't that gonna maybe cause more trouble?
Some static,
like-
maybe.
I mean, if they're at the bottom of a pond.
But it's a drained pond. It's
No, I said
they
undrained.
did
Is there an
manage to
undrained
fi-
pond?
Okay, but I'm assuming that the pond wasn't drained before they found the corpse in it. The other corpse.
Yeah,
right?
but I'm sure it'll give us
And
enough
then they
time,
drained
right? What,
No,
I
they-
mean, what else are we gonna do
ponds
for
No,
it?
they found him because they drained the pond.
Okay, but why wouldn't they drain the other pond also? Like, we don't know.
They will.
who's
They
gonna
will
drain.
eventually. They will eventually do that. Yes,
But
you're totally right.
But we don't need like.
To ever come back here ever again for sure.
Yeah, we'll know there will be another murder investigation about a body.
I just don't
because
feel like
we're-
concerned members murdering each other is super out of left field. Like, I got a call from my boss saying nice work on killing that guy. You know?
Maybe
I mean-
maybe your boss wouldn't have said that if they knew where you were going to put the body. I don't know.
All right, where else am I putting the body?
Do we have that big van still? Just like tuck him in the back.
Wait, which van?
Didn't he have a van?
I don't
He
know. I
had
just
a
feel-
car. He had a car.
he has-
You've
he has a
stolen
car.
the car.
He was developing
Yeah, we
photos
stole
in
the
the back
car.
of his car? I thought
Yeah,
he
the
had a
trunk
van.
opened up. There was a whole shelf system. We
Okay,
described. There's
okay.
curtains.
I mean, we could put it in
Sure.
the back of the car, but I feel like bringing the car that we're inside of into like the city is more risky than leaving him in an undrained pond in the wetlands.
Is there like a wet foundation of cement that's been poured somewhere?
I don't think today.
Can we reverse?
Yeah, you said development had been
requisition?
frozen, right? So
Yeah. Can you reverse what?
Can we reverse requisition something? Can we call
Yes.
for extraction?
Good call. Yes, you absolutely can.
Because I feel like the best person to remove this body would probably be someone who was hired for that to be their like specific job.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an access.
That would
roll.
definitely be an access roll. No one has any access abilities, right? Access talents? No.
No, I'm explicitly not good at access.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Does someone want to have rolled that?
Yeah, we
I
can retcon in that we're like still basically there. So yeah,
Yeah.
does someone want to have rolled that?
It seems like Seals is the most concerned about the body.
I don't know that that's true, but I'll roll it.
I can too, depending.
That'll
I
push
think
you out of your
My
heart rate.
heart rate is still
peak.
the lowest. I'm still in my.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead. Give me the roll then. Whatever you want to roll.
That's a 10.
That's a 10, but this is access. You can spend the accommodation point on it.
Sure.
You're at a
let's do
10,
it.
so
Yeah.
boom. All right. So yeah, you use the phone in this guy's car, or do you use Chris's device?
May as well use
Rider's
the phone in the
device.
car, right? Like.
All right, yeah. You dial in the right set of numbers. You again hear like ding dong ding, and that means like, yeah, we'll come get that body. And so yeah, you can be confident that that will happen. I think maybe it even does while you're waiting for the other. It's just like two agents sitting in the fucking suburbs smoking cigarettes, waiting for the car service to show up. But
Sounds like a
first,
great
yeah,
time.
a van shows up, and just like without talking to you at all, just people in gas masks show up. They're not in hazmat suits. They're in like coveralls, like navy blue coveralls with bright yellow gas masks. And they come over and they grab the body, they zip it up into a bag, they put it in the back of the van, and they drive away. So let's do do you want to do the bar then? Do you want to do cool bar? So I think you get this ride. They drop you off in I want to say it's probably in Counting House, it's something like the edge of Counting House, which is the kind of downtown financial district, which is the like lots of skyscrapers and stuff, but also just like tall buildings and banks and offices and such. And the southern parking garage is like a 15 floor parking garage. And across the street from it is a little bar. What's it called? Let's see. I think it's just called Lounge. And it is.
What kind of bar is it?
It's kind of like as divey as you can get inside of a financial district, inside of a business district.
Is it called
Is that-
something like?
Oh, it's just called Lounge. None of these places have
Okay.
real names. None of these places have have names, have individuality. They're not allowed. The best you could do is bar versus lounge versus pub, And so this is Lounge, and it is, it's kind of like someone's finished basement. It's like lots of wood, a pool table, lots of like dark stained glass. You know what I mean? Like interior stained glass, the sort of stained glass that goes into like shitty bars.
Mm.
Like it'll be a booth with like red vinyl padding, and then or like a red vinyl and whatever, and then like between the booths above the head dish, above where your neck is just like a really weird like stained glass separator that just says lounge in stained glass. And that is where you're meeting Achilles Apollo. I think you've beaten him here probably, so you get here first, you're able to get a booth. There's a rule as you step in. It says like whispers and words only. And by words, they mean like notes, handwritten notes.
Oh, thank God. I
Why?
was like, because I've been playing curses like unable to talk out loud because of how the Bluff city that she lived in works.
Yes.
This
is that. So this is
Okay.
this is that. Like literally is the Bluff city that she lived in was influenced by this place in a real way.
Okay.
And so for Maggie, and again, time is weird here, but like for Maggie, there was a Billy Joel song playing as a bird was fighting someone, and they stormed a bowling alley, and everyone was yelling, and it was just a weird, strange, loud, aggressive, exciting world. The Bluff city that Chris is from is a little more restrained, a little more restrictive. And so this specific thing that happens in Bluff City, that happened in places like CD Bar, that happened at the police galas, etc., originates in Blue City. And the reason that the reason that you lived through it is because you were living in an era where Blue City had successfully begun to influence Bluff. So that is what this place is like. And you get able to get a booth. It's quiet right now. It's before the end of day rush. And we definitely, again, as you get dropped off, a marching band goes behind, like pulls behind you, and like the whole road closes up as this parade continues. And it's growing. It's definitely growing. Like there's new instruments every time we see it, and maybe even a new float. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, I am not out of my target yet. Am I able to meditate?
Do you have meditate?
I don't. Okay.
Then
I
no.
didn't know if that was just like an
No.
agent thing. Okay.
It's an agent. It's a specific technique.
And static would go up as I learned.
And static would go up.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah. So yeah. But what you haven't said, remember, you have endurance, which gives you just a broader range than other people have. So.
Okay.
We're also one hit away from a new stage, by the way.
You are one hit away from a new stage. All right. So you're there. You're waiting for this guy. Does anything happen before that? Do you get drinks?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just like Chris writing these like long letters to Maggie. Because now she's like being like, oh, how many prates have you seen? Haha, because like they're both agents. And
Right.
get the static thing, but not so much that like.
Ryder can read and write, right? Ryder's the only one?
None of you can read and write
Okay.
in this place.
Oh well, I can't even write like.
You could write to each other.
Sorry, Sorry,
Right,
I just meant blue.
Keith
Can't read
was
and write
Keith.
blue.
Yeah, you can't read and write blue.
Yeah.
Just in case you wanted to put your order on a napkin.
Right. Yeah, that would get you in trouble. Don't do that.
Fair.
But you can whisper it, But the two of you basically are writing notes back to each other as you're killing time. Is that what you?
I
that what
feel
you're
like
saying, Ryan?
Maggie finds this extremely weird, but we'll go along with it.
Okay. Well, after doing that for a little bit, you get drinks, water, beer,
Sidecar.
whiskey, sidecar. Love it. Good job. Achilles Apollo comes in, and as a reminder, he is a very big black dude. He's a prize fighter, like he's a heavyweight fighter, which means he's like he takes up the room when he comes in. He's bald. His head is shaved, and in this moment he has on like a gray suit with a black turtleneck on, and like a white pocket square, and is wearing I don't think he's wearing sunglasses. But he does have like a very nice umbrella that he closes and puts at the side of the door. He hangs it, and he nods to you and he comes over and he sits down and he goes, who's your friend?
I think like Chris specifically waits for Seals to introduce herself so she can decide what code name she wants to give.
I don't think you don't know Maggie Darcy as you all you know her as is Agent Seals.
Yeah.
So
Shit, can I say anything if he's asking my name?
yeah, he's asking your name.
I think she just says like Emmy. Which is very weird because she does not look like an Emmy.
No.
But she says it very seriously.
That works. He goes, all right, Emmy.
She's a coworker of mine. We're both here.
I get you. All right. So, how you doing, Ryder?
Good, great. Like I said,
Wait,
I'm here
sorry.
investigating.
Wasn't Achilles Apollo at the fight that Maggie Darcy broke up with guns and the IRS?
Oh shit! Yeah, he was. So yeah, good catch. Yeah, stops in his tracks. Like tilts his head and then sits back down. Right, the thing I just was talking about with the he was the one there. With the Billy Joel song playing. He's like, does he know you as Chris or does he know you as Ryder?
Oh, I mean, I assume they met here,
Yeah,
right?
so
But
Ryder, right?
but they've probably I feel like they have a closeness that like they've spoken about Bluff City before, you know,
Yeah.
where they've both been there. But yeah, I guess just Ryder.
All right, so he's like, Ryder, you joining the IRS? That's a switch. He like nods to you. I don't remember your name, man, but this seems like a far way away from some tax evasion shit.
You know, the treasury reaches deep. And she like smirks a little bit
Uh-huh.
and like takes a sip of her drink.
So, what is it you're looking for? Or what is it you found?
I think Chris has the keys in the note and is like squeezing them in her hands and is like has her hands in front of her on the table and has not like revealed them to Apollo, but like he probably understands. And I think that she's just like, well, I'm here for an investigation and I want to know that there are things that I should hear from you instead of finding out somewhere else.
Sure. What type of things?
I want to understand how you're involved in this.
That's a particular question. If I answer those sorts of things, it gets you involved deeper.
I'm already involved. I'm an investigator.
Investigators ain't involved. Investigators are nearby. Investigators are...
Investigators are given a mission and they involve themselves.
Give me an instinct.
Sure. I think I'm just gonna go with 4 here.
Okay.
We're gonna see. Would this be a thing that I could spend a point on because I have intuition?
Intuition. Maybe. Let me read what they break down as to intuition, just so we know. Sensing an ambush, general wrongness, following hunches. Following hunches is a maybe here. It's not communication. Communication is an easy yes. You know what I mean? If you'd had
right, yeah.
But we'll see how it goes, and let's see what the roll is.
Right, yeah. I think there's like some. Okay,
it doesn't even matter. You got a 13.
Yeah.
Boom. Which takes you up and out of your target heart rate, which locks you back down to your regular stuff. You are at 148 on your heart rate now. He's like, all right. So a thing that happens in Tech Noir when you're doing this stuff is eventually you don't have to roll anymore as the GM. You can, whenever you want to, you can roll to give you a lead from somebody's thing, but you can also just be like, oh, this is the thing that makes sense. I'm going to start drawing my own connections, you know? And we're at the point now where the map is pretty well developed. The plot map is pretty well developed. We're like, oh, I know what how he was involved and blah 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 blah, right? He's like, you want to know how I'm involved? Man, I want to know how I'm involved. And he like looks towards the door and then back towards you. And he reaches into his jacket pocket and he pulls out a little reel, a little film reel. And he goes, and he slides it back in. And he says, look, Blossom has some movie. Before he died, he made it. And everybody wanted that shit. Gail Green. I think he just says Gail wanted it for the festival. Apparently something big changed people's mind about something. The Trust wanted it because, they didn't want people seeing it. And the Syndicate wants it because it's leverage. So, Syndicate was pretty sure that it was inside the coupe that Blossom used to drive around. Gail was pretty sure it was in the coupe that Blossom used to drive around. And the Trust was pretty sure it was in the coupe that Blossom used to drive around. The Trust got that coupe. The way they get things. And they had it impounded. They hadn't gotten the reel yet. So what I did is I told the people who asked me that I would get them the coupe. So I did. The only thing is, Gail asked me and the Syndicate asked me to. And so now I got a choice. See, I gave Gail the key. And he looks at you, Chris, and is like, or at least I left it on her desk. And I told the Syndicate I had the reel. And easy play here is I give Gail the car back. I give my boss the reel. And everyone knows I told them the truth, right? Gail thinks the Cultural Trust got the reel first, or someone else did, but it doesn't have to be me. I can give it to my boss and not get them upset that, I was speaking to Gail in the first place. So I'm just like lay it out in real words, like regular ass, full on lines and such that I'll draw here. Achilles was hired, or Achilles works for the what do they say? What was the Whitaker Syndicate? I said Witten before, but the Whitaker Syndicate, which is a criminal organization here, who. Go ahead.
Do we know the name Whitaker from a different Buff City episode?
From the Fiasco game.
Right.
He was their prize fighter. Remember there was the bet about so the bet was between the organized crime family from Bluff and the organized crime family from Blue. Was the bet on that in that boxing fight. So the Whitaker Syndicate hired Achilles Apollo to steal the coupe and the reel, the film. Gail Green also convinced Achilles to do this. We don't know what their relationship is. Well, they're friends, presumably, right? They're connected in some way. And so the Achilles stole the coupe, was going to give Gail the keys to it, but keep the reel to give back to the Whitaker Syndicate, so that he could keep his promise to Gail, but also keep his promise to his boss.
Right.
And when Gail was like, oh, the reel wasn't there, he was just going to be like, damn, I guess the Cultural Trust got it. Or like, damn, someone else must have got it.
Did he hand me the reel, or is
no,
it just
he has the
on
reel
the
in his
table?
He put it back in his jacket
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
So means I can also add that here. I'm gonna move Agent Ryder sympathetic so that we have a little more space here, because there's a lot going on. What are you two doing in response to this?
The problem with Lacuna is it keeps making me think in terms of like matrixy terms.
Uh-huh.
And it keeps making me think like, oh, we should just call in to get that file duplicated. And then he can do whatever, and then we also have the film. And that doesn't really make sense.
You could do that. There are places. So what I'll say is, Here's what I think is like the thing that would be a good thing for you to, the way that you would understand this is, one, I don't think the concern would not like it for anyone to have this tape besides them, right? So that's one. Like, it is your job to retrieve it, not for them to be able to see it, but so that it is not in the world, so that they are the only ones with it. You would know that. This isn't me, like. So two is, you could get it made. You could get a copy made. You'd have to go to somebody else. Mr. Lee L.B. could do that for you. Olerin Shaw, Office of Requisitions, could do it for you. They would want to make a requisition notice about it, but maybe you could schmooze your way into making that not happen.
But that we would also have to have it anyways.
Yeah, you would need to have it, totally. For some period of time, for sure. Regardless, even if you were calling it in, you would need to have it. They couldn't do it without it, you know? But Achilles Apollo has the Blossom tape, we now know. But so I think what he says is like, and here's the thing. This is the part that's real tricky is, I had made up my mind to do what I just told you. And then you stole the keys. And so now, the problem isn't that you stole the keys. The problem is you're giving me another opportunity to change my mind. And that's not what I want.
You don't. It depends on how you change it.
Well, I'm all ears.
I think Chris glances at Seals, also in sort of a "you're a better cop than me" sort of gesture, but also just like, I think that she's trying to weigh how much of a Arya Joy she can be, right? Where it's like, you should give me that tape. I'm absolutely gonna give it to Gail. Also, help me find Hector. Let's be best friends. But that's like not gonna. She isn't that character. But I think that there's like, at the opportunity, like, she definitely wants to sway him that way, right?
Yeah.
Especially since he seems conflicted, where it's like,
Yeah.
you're. When I said I involved myself, your fingerprints don't even have to be on any of this anymore, right?
I mean, look, the Whitakers know I got the coupe. I could tell them the tape wasn't there, but once it shows up at the festival, they'll know. They'll put it together. They got long arms.
You know how to take a dive, Apollo?
No. I win. I always win. What are you suggesting?
I mean, there are certain circumstances that reasonably they'd have to get mad at someone else instead of you, right?
That's not taking a dive, that's taking a bullet. Right? What do you have in mind? But he's like interested. Give me a roll. Give me a roll on this. This is an intuition or an instinct to convince him to do whatever bullshit you're about to pitch. So that's 3. Or no, you're still in range, right, Maggie?
Yeah.
All right, give me those rolls then. Try to not go too high.
Is this?
This is instinct. I don't think it's investigation.
Yeah.
So I don't think you have that option.
All right, that's fine.
Ooh.
Wow, you rolled 46 and got 11. Wow, right on the nose. God damn, so you're up to 133, still within your range. Nice work. Hell yeah. So he's like, tell me what you're thinking. But I think we cut there and we go to the 2 agents who've parked the car in like a little corner lot. Agents Hurd and Page. And you're walking to, so I've mentioned there's only a limited number of buildings, like styles, and the Cultural Trust is not hypocritical about this. They build their buildings out of the same pool as everybody else. They don't get special buildings. And buildings like this one, like the Cultural Trust's film department, is inside of a bank. The building is a bank, but instead of out front it says bank, it just says trust in big impact serif font, basically.
Which a bank might say.
It totally might, right? So, so yeah, and there's like a big cultural trust seal on the floor as you approach, and the sound of a marching band as the parades continue. I think at this point there's a second. This isn't static going up yet, but it is the parade is continuing, and there's a second float up there now. Does anyone have an idea for another holiday float besides businessman who is shopping?
A cow.
I was gonna say a pig. We went in the same
A
direction.
cow and a pig, and they're facing in opposite directions.
Love it.
Oh yeah.
Love it. And they're still playing slow Christmas music. Love it. Maybe it's picked up a little bit. It's like a mid-level Christmas song, like a mid-tempo. All right. So you go inside. What is the play here from you two?
We don't know that they've gotten the film.
They have not gotten the film yet.
We don't know that we don't know that, as far as we know, the only copy of the film is currently being held by.
Right. We do not know that. In fact, we don't know that.
Drummer Boy, is that a slightly up tempo from
Yeah, I like that because you also get the drums as you go into this building. That's good. That specific like drum beat is good.
Okay.
Bum.
Yep.
What's the inside of this like? How is this structured? Is there like a reception with people working the reception, or like?
Yeah, it is a bank. It is a bank lobby. And they've put like there's a reception area that's been built onto it. Like so, I think you go in. There's a huge seal, and then like a seal, like a an official government seal that says the Cultural Trust. And then there's like a picture of like a person with a bird, like an eagle head. It's like Lady Liberty, or not Lady Liberty, like the blind Justice, like Justice holding the scales, except it's an eagle head, and it's holding it has two hands. One hand is, what are they? What are the two things?
There could be a scale, but instead of a scale that balances, it's just weighing stuff.
It's just weighing stuff. Yeah, it's like
that's
a
great.
brick, or like a what's a good symbol? It's a feather on the high side, and then what's the symbol for weight?
I mean, it's lead, right?
Yeah,
But,
it's like little lead balls, basically, that are stacked in like a pyramid shape or something.
What, like
or just like a
BB
brick?
sized or like cannonball sized?
I think
or
cannonball sized, yeah.
like pool balls.
Yeah. And then with her other hand, or with the eagle's other hand, is holding a blindfold that's been like holding it like a sword. Like as if I'm going to blindfold you.
You're gonna
Right? Yeah.
Trust, big letters.
Trust, big letters. And so I think it's like that's on the floor. There's a reception desk, but then like all around in the reception are just like desks where people are sitting and working, and there is there is probably still a place where you can go and like deposit or withdraw things like a bank. And there's a vault back there somewhere, and then there's like offices above and around, There's a manager's office. And I bet you like some of the offices above have been converted into like viewing rooms if you have the right approval to watch something that's there.
I think I just sort of pull Hurd aside and say, "Sir, if I might, may I make a suggestion?
Yeah, of course.
I think we should divide and conquer. We go in there, we say we're with the concern, they'll think we're strong-arming them. That's not what either of us want. Well, I mean, it is what we want, but we don't want them to think that."
Good point. I think we should stick together and not tell them we're from the concern.
Well, but if we explain that we're from the concern, there'll be compliance there. I mean, what other authority can we, wield? Man, now Ali talked about metering her speech to match the Noaladia game. I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I'm being like retroactively tripped up. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Much will be gained through separation.
The good thing about being members of the concern is that we're not members of the concern. We're members of the Cultural Trust.
Florence just has this like Florence does the expression I just did, which is kind of like blank misunderstanding.
Oh my god. I mean, you do have documents.
Well, we're just. This is me. Okay. We will impersonate the cultural trust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Indeed.
And think of it this way. 2 people impersonating at the same time? That's much stronger than one person impersonating separately.
Explicitly bad at pretending.
Here, I figured out how to aid in this game, by the way. I've just invented
How,
it.
yeah?
for you to aid?
No, for you to aid each other. You
Okay.
just both roll.
I don't think that we're trying to aid each other. I think that we
No,
have
no, no,
total
no.
opposite agendas here.
Oh, you do. No, I'm saying if you wanted to aid each other, you just both roll. And if one of you succeeds, you succeed, but both of your heart rates go up. And if you
that's
fail,
really fun.
Static
Oh,
still goes
okay.
up. If one of you fails, static still goes up.
Yeah, that's really fun.
But it doesn't add anything. It just gives you 2 chances.
It just gives you 2 chances.
That sucks.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's
but it
terrible.
seems like that would work in this system as I'm understanding it. Sorry, continue.
Because that's the same thing as just one person rolling twice.
Twice.
Except
Yep.
you have to decide beforehand that you'll fail. Right? Unless you're saying that you can do it afterwards. Like
I guess that's the thing is like you could do it afterwards. You could spread the stress out is what would be happening. That would be the benefit,
yeah.
right?
Okay, I have an idea.
Uh-huh.
Okay, Florence is going to approach the reception.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I just have to open up my names folder. I'm going to need a code name.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she walks up to the reception and she puts down her documentation on the table. And she says,
Wait,
My
quick thing.
Mm.
You know what happens if you use the documentation, right?
Is it,
Static.
Static
it-
is a technique.
okay, right, let's roll it back.
Uh-huh.
okay.
I just remembered that is the thing.
I can take the lead on this one. Unless you feel comfortable with your current heart rate for a roll. This is an instinct roll.
This is an instinct roll.
Okay.
Yeah, this is an instinct roll.
Okay.
Yeah,
what are you
go
doing?
ahead.
It depends on what you're doing.
Well, I'm going to let them know that I'm Robert Wigg from the main office.
This is an instinct roll.
Yeah.
Robert Wigg, you're literally just moving your fake identities, the T from Twig into the... Okay.
It's so good, it would fool me for about 6 minutes, but
Yeah.
that's long enough.
Yeah, okay. Give me an instinct roll.
Roll. Let's go for...
Yeah, you're still in.
I'm still in. 13.
13. So now you are up to 141.
41, yeah.
So that's probably your last. You have one more before you go over. The receptionist looks up to you and they're like, the main office. Yeah, I guess we expected a couple people. Everyone's upstairs. You can go head up. Is this your points at Florence? Are you together?
Well, not together.
No, go upstairs.
Oh, okay. I was going to take the opportunity to separate us.
Oh, okay. Well, once you can separate if you would like to separate at this point. Like this receptionist has sent you upstairs. And
Can I like have noticed that was the I'm explicitly telling Florence to come with me.
yeah, if Florence decides not to come with you, that will be breaking. I don't think that's happened yet. But like, if
No,
Florence breaks away from you,
Yeah.
she will have broken away from you, which will be disregarding an order.
Yeah.
So
This
does
is
that
like
happen?
a
or do
vampire
you-
thing. You've been specific. No, I'm with
Okay.
Robert
Robert
right now.
Robert Twig.
Robert Wigg.
It's very funny because I've been looking at Robert Twig all night, and so hearing Robert Twig, which is a real name, feels strange in my mouth and my ears. I hate it.
That's Blue City, man.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's
So
true.
it is. So you go up the stairs. There's like a little balcony overlooking the ground floor, and you see someone just like as you come up the stairs, someone just like turns and points at an office for you two to go into, and then like turns and just walks down the stairs, and they leave. But like that is where you're being directed because you've told these people that you're from the main office. But you can do whatever you want in this building. Tell me what you do.
All right, Paige, this is your first big shot mission. Where do you think we should go?
Personnel. I think if we can break down everything they know about Blossom, we could leave here with more information than we came in. Surely they've confiscated stuff from him in the past. They might have something that would lead us to him.
All right.
I know he's dead. I mean, lead us to him
Right.
in a more metaphorical sense.
Lead us to the resolution of the mission. Or something.
All right. So then the personnel, we just get the shot of y'all walking down the hallway. You walk past the building the room that they were pointing at, and you can see through like some blinds that it's people watching. It's like 16 people in a conference room, basically, smoking cigarettes and watching vacation slides from someone
Like
else's
confiscated
vacation.
slides? Like these are two.
Say
these
again?
Slides are like slides that they confiscated.
Oh, absolutely.
Like
yeah,
these are
100%.
These are not cultural
Yes.
trust approved vacation slides.
Yeah, and they're just watching it, and like it's just a smoky room. And yeah, so they're like reviewing these vacation slides to see if they're allowed to be allowed. And you walk past
Projections
that.
are countercultural.
100% they are. You can't let people have their own home memories. What? And so then you
Anybody
walk past.
besides us lay their eyes on these, society would crumble.
So you walk past that. You walk past a thing that is like materials, and you can see inside that room there's someone who would have to like check out whatever like materials. You have to like file a form or whatever. You walk past that, and then there's just a personnel room or like a information room that is row after row after row of file cabinet filled with information and stuff. Who wants? You're able to go in. You're allowed in there. There's gonna be somebody else who's looking at stuff at like there's a little reading nooks in here, little like cubbies, not cubbies, but like nooks is right, where people have like tiny desks and they're looking over files with magnifying glasses, and there's definitely a microfiche like reader in this room. It's just like so cramped and hot in here. They've turned the heat on. They don't get to do that ever. And so there's just these like one whole wall of this is a long baseboard radiator that is just like blaring heat, which cannot be good for anything in here. Give me a roll. I think this, it's instinct. Because instinct includes investigation, which is what this is.
I got the last one.
Yeah, huh? Florence? Also, this was Florence's idea. I want Florence to roll this.
So these are filing cabinets, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So going to H rather than going to B, or I guess going to...
Yeah, this is the thing,
S.
right?
Well,
Oh, you're saying, would you be seen doing this?
Yes. Can I
think
move
it's-
fast enough that her won't have a familiarity with the room?
Yeah, I think if that's what you want to do, yes. Give me that roll.
This is instinct.
Yeah, it's and as many dice as you want because you're still in your zone.
Okay.
You're at 114, and your cap is 127. Your peak cap, your target cap. That's a 14, raised by 14. Oh, you're just one over your target. Brutal. 128.
But I get commendation.
You do get commendation. Good point. Yes. Make a note.
Oh,
Oh,
I got one
yeah,
too.
Allie got one
You
earlier.
did. You did get one earlier.
Oh, I
Nice.
got one too.
Oh, hey!
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at us not noticing stuff.
Uh-huh. All
And
right.
this is just like the Cold War drama. I'm thinking of like Spielberg's Bridge of Spies and like Hitchcock movies and stuff. Just like tight close up on Florence's feet walking and on her hands and on her eyes as she's like scanning for the thing.
Yeah.
The camera moves really quickly with her down a corridor. And instead of approaching Blake Blossom, she... Now, what would it make sense for... What name am I searching for here?
I don't know.
Oh,
Like it could be, what is it?
It could be Squire. It could be
Squire
Hector
or
Who.
Hector
It could
or
be, yeah.
How-
Do you want me
joke
to
when I
tell
walk-
you?
Before Jack had an idea of what to do, and like search for Hector, my joke was going to be that I'll check blah and you can check below.
That's really good. So I think the thing that ends up happening. So the things is that like it is a mess. Like it is not. So there is like director actor, producer, executive producer. But there's also alphabetical. It's also by season. It's also by genre, Western, drama, a war film, right? It's like a lot of weird cross-categorization. And so two things happen for you, Florence. One is you find Hector Who's file. And then two is you see at the bottom of his file, it says, for additional correspond with the Blake Blossom file.
Oh, cool.
So Keith, what is your question? Oh, okay.
I decided I'll say what it was anyway, but I decided it's not okay. It was why leaving Paige to search for Blake Blossom, and I could look up information on Squire.
Oh, you would both end up doing the same bit?
Yeah.
Oh,
it's just meeting in the
very
middle.
funny, but yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work.
All right, so I'm gonna add something to the board real quick, which is go ahead.
If you're gonna raise static.
Oh, I wasn't gonna, but yeah, I'm gonna.
No. Because I want to get. Let's talk semantics here. I was explicitly told to stay together.
No, yeah, but I said at the very top of the game that looking into things that were not looking into Hector Who would raise the static.
It got raised in a different way than the way it was.
But here's what I'm going to raise. You see, there's an under threats and hostile personalities. You'll see that there is one that is just redacted all the way through, and it says blue level agents avoid at all costs. Deep blue level agents, and then that's also blacked out. That is Hector Who. So I'm going to just add that there to the map as a bunch of redacted lines. Boom. I'm just gonna write Hector Who, but in the dossier, that is what that is. So, God, what do we get here? Is someone also looking for the Blake Blossom file?
Yeah, I am.
You give me a roll on that then. Give me a roll. Also an access roll.
Got it. This is my last one, right?
I think so.
Slash. Fuck it. 18.
18. Yikes. Okay, you're getting close to maximum too. All right. So
190 is my maximum.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you're up to 159 now.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, you won't be rolling.
It's fine. That last die was just one, so I would have gotten an.
That's true.
I would have gotten a 17.
That's true. All right. So we get the two of you in your cubbies looking at files over and over. I think this is the thing. It's it's more than just. It has to be more than just you're looking at a single file. There are here's the dossier on Hector Who and stuff, but there's a lot of cross reference, and the cross reference are not meant to make things easy. So it is you specifically get a thing on Hector, Florence, or it's you get someone that's check the file on Blake Blossom, but you also get one that's check the file on the on this specific scene in this specific movie that has been annotated 30 times, and one of the annotations is that you can briefly hear Hector Who coughing off screen, right? And so here's the big picture that you place together, Florence, is that Hector was collaborating with Blake Blossom as creatives, as filmmakers. I mean, I think you could put it together pretty cleanly, even, which is that draw this big long line down to here. The Blossom tape is a collaboration between Hector Who and Blake Blossom.
Nope, I don't think that's right.
Wait, what?
You wrote there's okay.
Yeah,
It said
I was
killed.
sorry. I was rewriting it. There we go. There we go. So, but what do you get then, Keith? So I think the things that you get here, one, Florence, you get that Hector Who. Actually, no. You know what? I think what Hurd gets is Blake Blossom shows up a year ago, maybe a little bit more than that. I forget what I said at the top of the game, and very quickly, too quickly, begins to start making films. Was probably working with someone who was established, stuff that you already knew in that sense. and that the cultural trust begins to believe that it is someone connected to the group known as the Concern, who is providing funding and providing expertise, and that the cultural trust believes that this stuff is dangerous. There's an instance where at a smaller showing of one of Blake Blossom's films, Blake Blossom starts showing his films privately in local, not just in movie houses, but in like people's houses, at bars, in parks, begins projecting his stuff onto buildings without approval, which they believe, I'm going to draw another weird long connection here, was also the work of Gail Green, who, I drew that wrong, who was a well-established, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move all this shit around. I'm going to make it so Hector is in between the two of them. It's easier that way. That Hector, Gail, and Blake are all collaborating on the production of weird experimental films, some of which have to do with, a lot of which have to do with nature, which we already talked about, which is bad because it convinces people that like they should not be just bulldozing everything, but also that have to do with something deeper and more ideological. The cultural trust thinks that they are attempting to kind of shift people against the cultural trust, against the kind of proprietary and respectful nature of culture here. People should know their places, etc. And so Gail, Blake, and Hector are all working together. And I think basically you get the Blake-Gail connection heard, and Florence, you get the Hector-Blake connection. And there's the emptiness in the map between the two of you. You know what I mean? Like, if you're focusing on the Hector side, it's like, oh, and they also had like another skilled filmmaker who was also like deep in the organizational side of all of this stuff, who could set up projections and who could set up private showings and who had the resources to protect Blake and Hector from this stuff. And then you get the big thing, which is that the Blossom tape is like their magnum opus. And they had been privately spreading word around that it was something that was going to totally change the way everyone thinks about the city, how everyone thinks about this place, and convince people to leave. It was specifically about getting people to flee the city, or change it in such a dramatic way that that it would be unrecognizable and the cultural trust would be utterly undercut.
Huh. Did I get that part, or is that only the Hector
you
side?
You get the goal part, which is like Gail and Blake were working on this same thing. So you get like that exact same thing, but without the Hector Who info.
Right. So I still got that they were trying to like get people to leave.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely. I don't know. That sounds kind of. I guess it doesn't. I was thinking that it sounds like an okay thing for the Bluff Concern.
Totally.
Because it would destabilize Blue.
That is if they're right about it, you know?
If they're right about it. But also it's like this weird thing where the people I guess ostensibly in charge of the Concern don't want a balance instability.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We've like, been told to sort of just like keep the line even.
So I guess I'm not sure how Hurd feels about how deep in is Hurd, like, is Hurd bought into like the intradepartmental Cold War between Blue and Bluff Concern, or is Hurd understanding of like, well, it needs to be balanced or else Bluff it doesn't get to be Bluff.
So I think both of those are still opposed to what Hector and Blake and Gail want, right? Which is that there should be, I think both of them want there to be, or not both of them, all three of them really. So all of them I think are more aligned with Bluff than Blue, right? All of them are pro-Blue, but they are also, are all pro-Bluff, but they're also not pro-Concern.
Right. Yes. Right. But Hurd is.
Hurd is right now, 100%. These are all people who think like, we can't just do this by like killing people and like black helicoptering people and positioning ourselves as like the people in great deals of power. We have to do this in a bigger cultural sense. We have to make like major changes to the way these places operate and what the people there believe.
Yeah.
Right.
I just mean like my specific motivation as like, would I be interested in using this tape to destabilize Bluff concern that I don't like, or
right,
or do I see the bigger like?
Good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, also you don't see the Hector side of this quite yet, right? So that means that is.
Right.
So
I guess
question.
so. Yeah. So I don't like okay, got it. Okay.
You're not sharing that info, Florence, I'm guessing.
No way. No way. No way.
All right. So static 10 hits, and you immediately above you on the roof start hearing the sound of just like it sounds like someone is shooting outside at first, but it isn't. It's that the snow has changed to hail, and huge fist-sized balls of hail start like slamming into Blue City all across the city. But they're not. A couple of things. The parade is still going, and the hail isn't breaking the balloons. The floats are protecting the people underneath. And the parade has gotten even louder. You can hear the sound of the horns outside as the hail begins to completely drop down.
Balls of hail collecting on the balloons are now close to the street because they're
they're lower. Yeah, totally.
Wow.
And every once in a while, someone shakes the balloons to get these huge offpourings of hail down onto the street. Lounge crew, what's your weird plan that you convinced this fucking poor guy to do?
We're gonna fake rob him.
Yeah.
And fake beat him up.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he's a fighter, so we can probably get some hits in and it won't hurt him.
That's the thing though, it has to be convincing, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are places you can hit someone that don't do lasting damage. Did you want to add something?
That's a verbatim quote to Achilles.
Yeah, exactly. He's like,
there's places we can hit you that won't do lasting damage.
I think you got to go bigger. I think you got to go bigger if we're gonna do this, because yeah, go ahead.
No, go on.
No, you go ahead.
You go on.
No, you go ahead. You're the player.
No, because I think that Chris is writing out a letter while they're having this conversation. Because I'll just say it now before the scene is over. I don't know if I have the capacity to do this, but I don't know if I could I'm sure witness protection isn't a thing, but I was also offered a job in the concern under duress.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I can make him that same offer, which is
So I think you'd have to get that approved. That would be an access roll. What I will say is starting to think in that direction is not bad, right? I don't know how many laws you're ready to break, so to speak, but Finnegan Hands isn't in witness protection. Blake Blossom wasn't in witness protection, but Hector Who brought. So I guess this is some more information for Florence, really quick. Hector Who brought Blake Blossom across from Bluff. Hector Who was the person who brought him over. Hector Who set him up, right? So agents have been known to do exactly that. So you could make a deal with one of the devils, literally, right? Mr. B might be able to make this happen for you. Or you could try to bring him across with you when you go back out and hope to get rid of him before, hide him somewhere before the concern picks you up. Or something else. Maybe you could talk to Uller and Shaw and bribe your way to get them to get him across,
I would gladly make this offer and then expend any resource I have, depending on what he wants to do. But yeah, I don't know if you want to finish this conversation, because I think it's a long letter that she's gonna give to him. That's
I love the idea of Chris writing it as this conversation about how to fake beat him up. I think he's you can't just. I am the heavyweight champion. You can't just hit me in the knees a few times.
Yeah, but they don't bring tire irons into the ring, so I think there's stuff that reasonably you wouldn't be expected to hold your own against. And then we maybe
No,
just like put you in the trunk of the coupe and then like give you a whistle or something so you can get some attention when after a few minutes have passed.
What are you doing? Sorry, my cat just jumped up.
Okay, I was confused.
Yeah,
I was like,
every
wait, you're not
right
in this
front of
scene.
everything. Get out of here, you little rat.
All right, we can try it. Not. He's like clutches his knees for a second. Don't hit me in the knees.
No,
though.
I wasn't gonna go for the knees.
And be careful because you could do lasting damage
Yeah, you don't aim for joints.
or organs.
No. Yeah, I know. No kidneys. That's a big one. No joints. There are certain parts of the head that are okay. Others aren't.
Shh.
What?
There's just like the bartender is staring at you as you describe places to hurt someone. We gotta stay quiet in here. Plus,
Right.
we're talking about weird shit. So
I think that's the point at which that
yeah.
this letter gets slid across the table. And it's basically just like, I'm sorry to make you more conflicted, but I think that that's a good thing to see. You're a talented person and shouldn't be wasting it stealing cars. If you want to get out of here, I can give you that. If you want to do bigger things, I could work that out too.
Cool. He sees that and he's like, all right, let's do it. And he tells you, I think, so like we just get the slow cuts or the like you all stand up, then it cuts to you all leaving the building, then it cuts to you all crossing the street, then it's like the same exact angle, side angle shot, like full bodies walking from left to right, and when you get to the edge of the frame, it cuts to another shot, and it does that 3 or 4 times, and you're in the parking garage, then you're on one of the like ramps going up, then finally you're at the coupe, you're at the teardrop. And he says like, put me in here, I can blow the whistle, and I'll be able to say yes to everything that they say. He's a tire iron. That's what we're doing?
I mean,
IRS?
are we doing the protection thing? This is me out of character asking.
I think we're doing both, right?
Because if we're doing the protection thing, why do we have to beat him up at all?
Well, how are you getting him into protection that quickly is the question. Because like if this thing airs tonight at the festival, the Whitakers are going to know immediately.
Yeah.
Okay, so the whole point of beating him up was to, in some way, indemnify him when that happened. If we're extracting him anyway, it seems very silly to go at him with a tire iron, put him in a trunk for a half hour, and then extract him. It kind of seems like
it wasn't
going to
be a half hour. It was going to be like put him in the trunk for the next few days and then extract him. I don't know how quickly you can get him extracted. Like genuinely, I don't know.
I mean, is it worth a few days in a trunk to get out of Blue?
That's the other thing. Is like, could you just hide him somewhere now for a few days and hope? What I will say is like, if this film airs, if the Whitakers find out that the film is out there, they will know he got it for them and that he gave it away. Or they will believe that. And they are organized crime and are bad. And this is Blue City. This is not the Veranda family.
So also what you're saying is that the promise of extraction is what's making it worth it to take the risk of pretending to get beat up.
No, they already convinced him that it's a good thing to do and that he would follow whatever their pitch is for keeping him safe. But like you have to keep him safe. And what I was going to say is like, yeah, if you beat him up and take it from him, then he at least has a little bit of a window where he can be like, yeah, I had it for you, but they beat me up and took it. And then some other time later down the road, near future, far future, whenever it is, you could get him out.
Well,
That
I
seemed
don't
to be
understand
like
why it would buy him any time at all, if not like.
Because he could say that you beat him up or someone beat him up.
And then the Whitakers believe that for 3 days, and then decide
for a
not
few
to?
days. Yeah, sure.
Well,
they would
just
look
until
into
he
it.
can go missing, right?
Right.
Like,
I think there's a limit to how long they would believe it because they would start looking into this stuff too.
Yeah.
Like, you met him at a public place.
And it totally makes sense. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, if they knew it was him, and then they went looking for him and couldn't find him, that then they would like really up the search, which would be bad for everybody.
Or you could roll the dice, right? Like, if this thing goes out today and he doesn't have an alibi for today, that's trouble for him. Or you could try to find a place. Like, this is also reasonable. It's like, you could make that call today and say, like, hey, can we have a safe house for somebody, and try to keep him safe until then. Like, short-term witness protection type stuff, basically.
Oh yeah, we do have like access to. I mean, not
You have access to yes.
to a safe house.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense. The other suggestion I would have is like we do the part of the plan that was in his mind, which was like, okay, you fake beat me up, and then they find me, and then they think that you beat me up, but like make it more material by telling him to like call someone, and like threatening them over the phone. But that would be way worse for us, maybe.
That would
So
be way
maybe
worse.
don't.
Yeah.
It just seems kind of pointless to beat him up if it doesn't like you know what I mean? Like, it seems silly. It seems incredibly pointless to be like, well, we'll beat you up and then they'll leave you alone for a day and then we'll get you out. Like,
I'm saying,
why not just get him in a safe house for that? Like, if it's
so let's try that. Let's try that then.
It's probably going to be a roll either way, so it seems
It
silly
will be a roll either way. I will say that the roll that is the access roll has anytime you're accessing things. So what I was saying is the thing to note with access rolls is you've crossed a boundary with static. So you're at 10, which means that the relationship with the concern is starting to get frayed. Which is why I bring up that it is risky to do that directly through the concern in that way. If there's a favor you want to call in from like another person here, that's a little safer. In some senses.
Yeah, Finnegan.
Okay.
I mean, like, Finnegan
likes
already
him
owes
anyway.
Apollo.
Yeah,
So that seems
totally.
like a real easy call to make.
Oh yeah.
Totally. Sure. So do you just like dial him up on the phone, basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have the color thing all. Is that?
I think that's probably instinct, not access. Right? You're convincing someone of something. It's risky,
46, yeah.
and it is risky for Finnegan to do this, right? Jack, do you remember how Finnegan sounds?
Man, my abiding memory of Finnegan is of him at the end, but I remember him just being like he wants to help. Finnegan's like well, his whole thing was his like colossal misunderstanding of the plan, right?
Yes.
He's very enthusiastic even when he
Yeah.
doesn't super grasp the full details of the situation, but that was him in Bluff City.
Yeah.
I imagine it's similar in Blue City, but sadder.
That sounds right. All right, so what's this call sound like?
Let me roll it and then we'll see.
Okay.
Okay, that's a 15, so I go up to 63.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't have a relationship with Finnegan, but I guess like.
Oh, that's a good point. Should Maggie have done this?
Well, I think there's probably like a version of that conversation happened in this parking lot, right? Where it's like, yeah, well, the second that the trunk is open, it's like, yeah, leave me here. It's like, wait, okay.
Yeah.
We were gonna beat you up, but
I also don't know that Maggie and Finnegan have the kind of relationship where that would help. We know
Gotcha.
that she
Yeah.
feels protective of him. I don't think there's any reason necessarily for him to feel anything towards
that's a good
her.
point. Yeah.
right. But I think that like if these three characters were together, being like, okay, who are we to lean on for this plan? Like, either Maggie or Apollo would suggest Finnegan separately, right? And it would be Chris calling to like be the agent.
Yeah.
Who has a weird phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that she waits for it to go through, and like it's the kind of like awkward like looking at the people that you're in the room with while you're seeing like what the wait is at a restaurant, and just being like, hi, is Finnegan there? This is Agent Ryder.
Finnegan.
Oh, I'm playing Finnegan?
Sure. It's a short scene.
Yeah, hi. Who's this?
Agent Ryder, uh, I'm with the concern. I'm a friend of Apollo's, and she like looks at Apollo and shrugs.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm always going to be there for a friend of Apollo's. What can I do for you? I can't talk for very long. I'm sorry. It's just, it's a bit of a busy day. Have you seen
fair,
outside?
Love a parade. It's about Apollo actually. I'm trying to protect him, and I need the help of a resident.
Oh. Oh, you want me to do a solid for Mr. Achilles?
A solid, yeah, like 2 solids.
Okay.
Not 2 different actions. I just mean something that like ice, like a diamond.
Oh, like right, like a diamond. Right,
like a very solid.
Right, double solid. What does he need?
He just needs somewhere to be until he has a way out.
A what?
A way out.
Oh. I hadn't thought about this. Because Finnegan is here too, huh?
Oh, he's getting out?
I I think that I think that there's a point that like Chris hears that in Finnegan's voice.
Yeah.
And like I don't know. I'm like curious how like Maggie and Apollo are reacting to this conversation, but I think that she's just like it's just a visit. And then like shrugs at them again. But like if this similar a situation where you want to like take my phone instead of a cigarette, you can do that.
When's he getting out?
Oh, well, I'm still working out the details, but it would be soon, by the end of the week.
Oh. You gotta get me out of here.
Of course.
Of course?
You want to go?
Yeah, I want to go. I've wanted to go since I got here. I don't know how much longer I can be here. I don't know if I can make it to the end of the week. You've got to... What was your name? Look, I'm going to write down your name. And you just hear him, like, scrabbling for papers. It's Agent Ryder, right?
Yeah.
And you'll get me out?
I'll help you however I can.
And all I have to do is he in trouble?
He will be if you don't help.
Oh. Okay. Okay, when should I expect him?
Soon. Where are you now?
Well, I'm at my house.
Is that secure?
Is that secure? No one's secure here. Wow, you haven't been here long.
I don't plan to be.
You don't plan to be. Okay, well, I mean, you drop him round, we can meet at a safe location. And I guess you can tell them that we'll be coming by the end of the week, right?
I'll call you, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Agent Ryder.
It was nice meeting you. And then she just hangs up.
Oh my god. Thank you, Jack, for just injecting all of the tragedy there is. Fuck me. And he gives you the tape. There's a degree to which he hands you the tape and you feel it move in your hands for a second. Like there's something inside of it moving. And then it stops. Like it clicks in your hand for a second, or like a marble, or like I don't know, there's something like, you know with jumping beans? It's like there's a jumping bean in there, but like
So there's a bug in it.
I want to underline the larval sense of jumping bean.
Ugh.
Yeah, like a bug. But it's in a little copper container, a little copper film reel like can. It's small. It was shot on like it's pre Super 8, but it's like an 8mm. It's like a camera in between the kind of original 8mm and the Super 8s. I have a specific one in mind with an image, which I'll link you to because it's cool. It's a cool fucking camera. I found a cool gun and a cool camera because that's welcome to Bluff City. I almost linked it in our fan Discord for a second. It is this like little handheld camera that has like it's almost like a little briefcase that you carry around.
Oh.
It's very cool. But the film is not that. The film is just in a little film reel canister. And also while we're at it, the pistol is there's like a thing called like a box silencer or something. It's like there was a Russian it's a revolver with a silencer on it, and that was the pistol that you got. But not like a long silencer. It's like a little tiny cylindrical boxy thing that goes on the end of the gun barrel. It almost hangs underneath, and that expresses the gas so that it reduces the sound. It's a really weird looking thing. Anyway, props. Trust people. You have all this info. It's hailing. The parade is bigger than ever. You step back outside, I guess. What do you do? We'll wrap up very shortly.
Do we... I mean, is this the point at which we arrange to meet at the gala, the festival?
Yeah, right? It's soon, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, for sure. That's what we do, right?
So do we contact... I mean, maybe we've done it already. Maybe before we split, we were like, all right, if these run long, let's meet at the festival.
At the Citywide Film Festival at the Courtyard, yeah. And by the time you get there, people are starting to arrive. It's like, it's going to start soonish. But you're allowed to get back in. You've already done the work at the beginning of the game to kind of establish that you're allowed to go to Gail Green's office, so they're not going to stop you again.
Are they like... Are folks like arriving in the hail, just like stepping out of fancy cars and people
with
holding
umbrellas
under them and like hail
This
hissing off the streets?
Totally, and they've put up a bunch of like a bunch of things over the projection screen to keep it safe. There's just like I think maybe it's like a clamshell style stage, that has a roof already. It's like an open in a park, but like it has a clamshell covering it basically, but people are lining up and sitting down in their fancy formal wear, all holding umbrellas. So there's this shot of you like following one of you out of the car, and it like follows behind you, almost like a close third person camera or something, but it's a little shakier than that. And we walk in, and it turns, and you just see this like entire park filled with people seated outside in the sunset, holding umbrellas as hail bounces off of it. And just like umbrella, like it's basically one or two people for every 3 or 4 seats, because these umbrellas are taking up so much space. And like I don't even know how they're going to see the screen like this, but it's just this very upsetting, strange image. And also Christmas music playing from the parade, which is like, if you're in the park, you're outdoors, you can still see all of these floats everywhere. And I think one of you, Chris and Florence, you see something that you catch your breath for a second, because you see a symbol that is confusing at first. There is an infinity symbol on one of these floats. And it is not infinite love. It is something else. And someone like bumps into you as you're getting out of the car, and someone like says to you like, you should join up. It's time for the endless jubilee. And you look closer, and there was a ram's horn, which is the historical symbol for the jubilee. And it strikes you, Chris, like in this moment it's happening again. Right? Like, it's not infinite love, omega love. It's something else, but this place isn't Bluff, so it couldn't have just been omega love again. Here it's the endless jubilee. It's people are singing songs about forgiveness and the new year, and in fact, I think that's what it is, right? Isn't that how does Auld Lang Syne actually go?
For old acquaintance be forgot,
Yeah.
and never brought to mind. I'm looking this up. Let old
Thank you.
acquaintance. Should old acquaintance be forgotten, never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot? For the sake of Auld Lang Syne, for Auld Lang Syne, my dear, for Auld Lang Syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for Auld Lang Syne.
For all the past, for the old days, for the should we move on,
Old time's
basically,
sake.
for old time's sake? Yeah. Should we celebrate old time? So that's what's being sung here, which is extremely early because it's not even the holiday yet. Whatever they call it here, what do they call their Christmas? I don't know if they call it Christmas because it's businessman, pig, cow
I
holiday.
assume there are other symbols.
Maybe
There's a Santa. What does Santa look like?
yeah.
in
There's a
blue?
Santa.
Oh, he's
my-
awful.
Finnegan Hands, right?
We know what it's called, right? It's called Coelagas.
Yeah, it's called Coelagas.
Help us,
Except that you and I both on one of the postcards. We don't get the postcards.
I'm going to put
one
this
of
in
them
the
is
chat just because Keith hasn't seen the postcards, and it's
Oh, yeah,
unfair
please
to
do.
just say that and leave
Uh-huh.
it.
There is a make sure you put the back too.
Right.
For the postcards, one of them is a postcard of an infinitely big Christmas tree with two little girls looking at it, including one who has 8 arms on one side of her body at least. And it says, At vetter Brigoris that Viers Skort Cableting Halpus Sealagoths.
Nice.
And on the back, it says, there's a little poem that says, Teledin Quilsum Burum, Tela e Ath or Frem, Popgoris con Kanyagoris, At Torals Alforums at Ben, which is another Christmas poem about something. And both of our things have Christmas in it, which tells me that if you're not from Blue City, the same word can look the same different ways, or can look different ways and mean the same thing. So yeah, that is what's happening here. But yeah, it's happening again. It's has Hector been working on these people this whole time already? Right?
I mean, this all could also be a worse worse blue version of this thing that.
Totally, it could be. I'm really speaking to Chris and Florence, who saw the Omega Love shit go down, and it does feel like the weird Blue City version of it, right? Because the Bluff City
Jubilee
version
sounds worse,
right? Than Omega Love. The Bluff, but it's not. But I want to be clear. I don't think it's bad. The thing that's any political moment. Any political resistance is defined by the possibility space that politics and ideology has already set up, and so. For the people in Bluff City, this expressive, expansive, endless, position of resistance and creativity, it meant like that people fought the National Guard and won, and in Blue City, that's unimaginable. But what is imaginable is that they break the schedule for their Christmas parade, and that they inflate way more balloons than they're supposed to be, and that they clog the streets and prevent business from operating as it's supposed to.
better music,
and
faster music.
faster music, yeah. And that they didn't. There are ways in which you can clog the system that tells you you're not allowed to curse, and it's by playing music at a loud volume, where you're not allowed to protest, and it's by having a parade instead of a protest, right? And so I think you recognize that's already been happening here, and to some degree, whatever is on this reel is supposed to push them over the edge.
I mean, there's something for like just having Blake Blossom having been in operation for so long.
Right, Blake and Gale have already
Gale,
been doing
yeah.
this stuff, and Hector, we know, has also been playing in here, right? They've been stirring the pot a little bit. I think it's a moment of like, oh shit, they were stirring it way more than anyone knew.
Yeah, like there's a difference between magnum opus and debut.
Right, yes. But then you're here. What do you all do?
I think first of all, Chris is just like grinning.
Uh-huh.
I think there's a part part of her in the last scene is that like she went through the Omega Love thing and like does not see any sense of like community in Bluff City or Blue City, and like
yeah,
thinks that's why people need to be saved from here.
sure.
So like seeing that there's like an uprising is like almost giddy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I think that she wants to find Gale.
Okay. She finds her in the office. Is everyone together here? Is this a big group thing again to wrap?
Yeah, I could see that.
Okay. Gail is in her office getting things ready. You know, I think it's like practicing her speech, her like welcoming speech, basically. And you can see like the camera shows a fourth version of the schedule with Blake Blossom's name crossed off again because she didn't have the keys to go get the car. And you show up. And it's Gail Green, a.k.a. Dorothy DeLanza, a.k.a. Goldfinch. She is what a beautiful woman superhero in the world of Blue City looks like, right? Which is like this very mid-century image of perfection, of blonde hair and blue eyes, and like she is that stereotype, right? And gets to be a good person also in a weird way. In the world of Bluff City, where like we are very, very, very conscious about making sure that we talk about marginalized identities and queerness, and I mean she's queer, right? She's a gay woman, and everything else. Like also weirdly, this woman wants to do right by the world. She left this place as a little girl and saw a better world and decided to come back here and try to make this place better. But is still confined by its conceptions of beauty and identity and all those other things and fights against them. But like there she is right now working inside of the system. And she is practicing her speech, and you open the door to her office, and I think she immediately is like, "Did Achilles send you?"
Yeah. I think that so Hurd knows that I got the tape. No, he knows that I got the keys and the piece of paper. And I think that
And that you were meeting this
Chris.
Achilles guy, but you did not report that you had the tape, right?
No. And I think that Chris specifically hands the paper is folded in half, and she hands all three to Gail, but like in a way that's like
Stealthy.
yeah, like you have this tape now. I think there's probably even like a note written inside that's like just nod and smile, which is like, oh, he told me to give you this.
This is an 11. This is static, rather. Definitely static up to 11 at this moment. And which I'll get to. She just nods and smiles and says, "Thank you. I hope Achilles is doing well. He's always been a great ally to the arts, you know. Do you all need seats for the festival?"
Oh, and Florence just like looks out at the like people and the
Wait.
umbrellas.
Hold on, sorry, I'm confused. Where am I?
You're there.
I'm there? Oh.
Yeah.
I totally missed where we
Sorry,
all got back
you're
together.
all there. Yeah, you all got back together at the festival. 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I need to try to stop the tape from being handed
I wasn't.
over.
First, you have to see if it was okay. So then, give me these are 2 instinct rolls then against each
Yeah.
other, which
Yeah.
will. All right, so static is actually going to go up to 13 then.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't tell you that I have it, and
No, but the instinct roll is whether or
Okay,
not you were
yeah.
able to stealthily slide it. That's the
should I roll?
It is instinct for both of you. You can whoever or where y'all at. So Hurd is just past. You're both. Are you both
We're
past?
both
Yeah, you're
past.
both past. All right, so it's instinct 3 versus instinct 4.
Can I roll to aid?
Let's see the rolls first.
Hashed out aid.
We can, but you don't have to do it right away.
Okay.
Also, Ryder has intuition, which absolutely helps here, if she wants to tap that.
9.
Okay.
9.
All right, give me that. Well, spend that
Can I
intuition.
spend mine to
Make sure you
bring that to a 10?
yeah, and make sure you
Yeah.
both add the respective things. I mean, you have to actually roll. Sorry, Al, you have to roll 1d6.
Oh, do I?
You'll succeed, but whatever that number is still adds to your heart rate.
Oh, I thought if I send the point and it's a thing that I have, I can just.
Talent. The talent gives you a 1d6 if it's inside of the realm of the talent that you can add on after the roll. So that's a 5. That's why it's important, right? It's like,
Okay,
oh shit,
so-
you actually just increased by 4.
Let's
so
add these numbers, and we're rolling again.
all right. So again, I'm going to explain how this works. So you're up to
68,
Chris, you're-
168 is for me.
okay. So Robert's up to 168 out of 190.
190.
Chris is up to 177 out of 184. Again, this isn't death when you hit that, but it makes everything you do risky after that fact. So at this point, what Herd is doing is saying, I'm going to play chicken here, or I'm going to push this further. If you agree, static continues to go up. So in other words, Keith is saying, I want this to come out a different way, or I think Herd wants this to come out a different way, is challenging you. If you say, no, fine, you win, then Herd wins. If you say, fuck that, I want to win, then you're both going to roll again, and your stress is going to continue to go up, and static will go up by 2. Maggie wants to help here, and we need to figure out how the fuck that's supposed to work with contested rolls. I think it is the same as before. It's as we said before, this is a complete, by my gut, there is no rule I can look to in the book to help this. So I think, Maggie, you can step in to help here if Chris fails, but I worry this is just a race to the bottom, right? Or the top of stress and static, which is fine also. This could all blow up in a fun way, and I'm fine with that. But I don't know that there is a rule for like, and that's it, I can cut this conflict off outside of social agreement. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is no way to be like, I've won this so well that the other opposing agent decides to back down. There's definitely a weird filibuster angle here. But let's start with where we're at, which is Herd has said, I'm challenging again. Ryder.
What happens if I reach maximum?
Everything you do will become risky, which means a failure of not everything. Force and instinct rolls will become risky, which means a failure will reduce your force or your instinct. At 0, bad. Those hitting 0 are basically your HP, so to speak.
Okay.
They will take
One of
you out
them.
of the
One
game.
of them hitting 0.
Either one of them. Access also, but access drops I think a different way. I don't remember.
I'm definitely rolling it.
All right. Both of you roll. Was that you just there?
That was me. Yeah.
Damn.
15.
Oh my god. So again, Chris is stealthier than Herd is. I don't know that it's a fun way to do this camera work. It's just close-ups on Herd trying to piece together if something is happening here, I guess, and Chris playing it as smooth as fucking silk, because it is smooth. Increase your maximums. If you hit your maximum, just hit maxes out at 184. It does not go over. I don't.
It's like the realization at the end of The Usual Suspects, where it's like a really tight, with no realization.
Yes.
It's like a really tight close up on
Yes.
on Herd's face, and we can just hear Ryder like talking in the background of the scene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're both at their maximum now, right?
Right.
I'm below my maximum still. My
Are
current
you?
is 183. My maximum is 190.
Wait, was on 183 including what you just rolled?
I just added 15 to it. Yeah.
Okay. So that means. So again, where are we at? Are we good?
Who won? But no one won that one yet.
Yeah.
won.
Oh,
Yeah,
you got
Allie
the,
won
that
one.
8. I thought I rolled first. Okay.
No, Allie rolled an 18.
Well, so this is the mission. The mission is get this tape and return it.
Yes.
Get this tape and play it at the festival.
No, yeah, she is going off the thing here, but you haven't noticed that. This role is about you noticing it, right?
Okay.
You can continue as a and I'm gonna abstract this out because this is an important thing. Or it's a thing that I want to explain what the abstraction that's happening here is. I think that both in the fiction, what we have is an appropriate moment where Herd does not trust that his agents are being truthful. There's
Right.
good reason to believe that. They have gone off to meet someone who Gail Green clearly knows, who Chris has known, or that Agent Ryder has known from before, something, and has not told you what happened there. Allie
Yeah.
was very clear that was not, there was no like, oh, and then this is what happened.
Okay.
At a metafictional level, we as co-authors can decide something is happening here, right? Which is, we are collaborating on this story, and we can decide if Ryder gets one over on Herd or not.
Okay.
what do we as writers want to happen here?
At this point, Ryder does.
Okay. And so we eject from the conflict because we think it's more interesting as a group of storytellers that Hurd really does check here and like feels bad about it. There's like, we can have that moment. I think that's fair. You're both really stressed about this, that like this is there is a heist is happening. The heist has just happened in front of you, and you feel it in your fucking gut that a heist is happening, but you can't see it happening. Yeah. And you are a company man to some degree, and aren't going to accuse somebody of it if you don't see it. And so as a player, we have to now play as Hurd doesn't know this happened yet. Mm-hmm. There may be a moment in the near future where that is not clear. We also hit 15 static, which is a fun jump to have. Can I just narrate out the conclusion of this recording?
Sure.
Or like, do other people have things to do?
No.
Before we see the festival happen.
Well, so is the end of the recording the end of the Lacuna?
End of the record. I think just the end of the recording. We may need one more set. Unless we stay late, it's very late for Jack right now.
It is very late, yeah.
Yeah, no, I
wasn't sure if we were like it kind of seems like we're close to the end, but we
are very close to the end, but we're not close to the end. Like that's we have one more session in this. I would rather I want to set the stage as best I can for that next thing, because the next thing is going to be like
crazy.
You'll see. Okay. So she says, I have some great seats for you if you go to and she leads you, remember this is a converted church, right? And she leads you up to the second floor of the church, and there is a balcony on the outside the church that has its own. They've like put up not a ceiling, but a temporary. There's a like roof basically, so that people here can sit on the balcony, can see the screen, all without having the hail hit their heads. And she sets you up in some nice chairs. They're chairs from the church. They're like old Spanish colonial chairs. They look really rare and valuable, but here they are. And you're sitting on them, and the festival begins. And it's a couple of other films. She goes out, she gives this great speech about the power of film, the power of cinema, this emerging art form, which some people go, oh, like the idea of an emerging art form is terrifying for them, right? She absolutely says it's not just newsreels anymore, in the tone of someone saying video games aren't just Pac-Man anymore. It's not just newsreels and war films anymore. And she shows her own films. Really quick thing I just want to note is we also absolutely see a photo of Waxwing on the desk of her partner from Bluff City, like of the two of them together happy on her desk. She absolutely keeps a photo of the two of them there. It's an important note. Anyway, shows there's films from other filmmakers in the city here, and many of them are just weird movies for you, even from Bluff City, unless you happen to be a filmmaking buff there, where it's just like, here's 30 minutes of traffic, of just the traffic happening. One of them is film of the parade today, and it's like, this is the quickest we could imagine turning around this film. We're using all sorts of new techniques to make this happen very quickly. There is stuff where it's what you would think of as 1950s exploitation film, where there are like queer themes that are not necessarily well explored. I would say that's like problematic in a lot of ways, but it's people struggling to make films about queerness or about race as best they can. Sometimes it's ham-fisted, and sometimes it's very broad, but you can tell that like, oh, this is a film that is about, this is a film for women to watch, to see women's bodies in a way that is sexualized without it being for a male viewer, right, or a masculine viewer. This is a movie in which the skin tones of the characters of color are well developed and are well lit and are beautiful to see on the screen. Oh, this is a film about the sexuality of men, and is actually about it. And they're films. This isn't This isn't like just pornographic work, though I suspect a lot of these people have also done pornographic like filmmaking in this city, and I suspect like that does well for them because fucking the culture or the cultural trust would not like that at all, and people do, and so there's a lot of experimental stuff happening here, and then finally at the end, Gail Green comes out and says, "I am." Pleased to say that we have one more film to show today, and it is going to be a doozy, folks. We have the last film by the great Blake Blossom. We knew him too shortly for the talent he offered us, the love, the insight into filmmaking as a craft. And I'm pleased to say that here in the audience is one of his collaborators. And she like points up towards you all. And you see that in the back corner is Hector Hu sitting on a different chair, wearing a pair of sunglasses and a priest's like collar and black pants and a black shirt. Round small sunglasses. He is Asian. He's Chinese and Latino and black. I've always imagined him as being kind of like Toro y Moi, Chaz. Toro y Moi is a band or a musician I really like, and he is Filipino and black. But I've always imagined Hector as being kind of an aged up version of him. He could play him in the movie in 20 years or whatever. And is just like sitting there, and I think she says like, and I'd like to give him the honor to starting I'd like to give him the honor, and he like hits the button on the projector, and it is the Blossom tape. It is a film. It is immediately entrancing. You are staring at like the edge of the thicket, the wetlands that go off into the desert proper. And there is this like, there is a tunnel. And it is not attached to a mountain. The road just descends into the ground out between the wetlands and kind of the emerging desert over further to the east, basically. And the tunnel, the camera kind of slowly walks into the tunnel, and then begins to pick up speed. And there's some lighting in the tunnel, and there's more and more distance put behind and forward, and you can't see anything at a certain point. It just goes completely dark. And at this moment, up on the balcony where the projector is, you can hear one of you looks back and sees the film, and it looks like bugs moving around a projection screen. It looks like you can see the hard, like, chitinous shells. It sounds like bugs moving through it. And it sounds like that on the projection screen, too. And you can feel people are getting tense and scared. And it pushes further and further into the dark. And every once in a while, there's the flickering of a light and the movement of an object in the dark. And then finally, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And the process of going through it takes 12 minutes. It's long. And at a certain point, you realize you're inside of a car, and the car is making strange bug-like noises, too. And finally, you punch out of the end of the tunnel, and it is footage of somewhere else. And for everyone in the seats, everyone watching, it is somewhere beautiful and different and colorful, and there's a boombox playing music, and the world can be like that, they think. There are people on the boardwalk laughing and smiling and cursing at each other. It is like found footage style of people at the beach, at a boardwalk with casinos. And there are, people laughing and kids flirting. And there are, old parents who've come in from out of town to spend their money on their vacation at the slot machines. And there is the sound of songs of which these people have never heard before. And it's grimy in this really intriguing way. And for you all, immediately that this is not Bluff City. Sure, it's bright and colorful, but you can tell when the cop looks at the couple holding hands and their hands break because the cop doesn't approve of relationships like theirs, that it's not Bluff City. You can tell based on the way the trash is piling up at the corners, by the way the guy slumps on the side of the casino and no one comes to help him. You can tell by the sound of the casinos raking in money. This is not Bluff City. This is a third place. And the camera pans over and reveals on the screen Hector who says, "All right, I'm going to give you the tour of a wild place. It's called Bluffington." And he just like starts showing you around. And he says like, "This is it. This is the real world." And, you know, in the newspapers the next day, people are going to talk about this like it's a weird science fiction movie, right? And it will have a long-term effect, for sure. People here will think about what could be instead of what simply is. But for those of you who are already on the edge, who are already in the concern, who already know that there are two worlds, whether you believe it or not, the doubt sets in. It has to. This is something the concerned would not want anyone to know. That there is a third place, a place more material, a place where the rules make more sense, where time is linear and space is set. There cannot be a Bluffington or a Bluffington Beach or whatever the fuck this place is. There can be Bluff City and there can be Blue City. Those things make sense. One of them is clean and expressive and exciting, and one of them is restrictive and terrible. That makes sense. There cannot be a third place that is somehow more real. And so it is still your job to get that tape and destroy it or bring it home.